What is up, everybody? This is your Week 12 preview and Week 11 recap. I have a special guest today, Denver. I figured while I'm talking, you guys can watch him, and he's going to do a little bit of a guessing game to kind of see who he thinks is going to come out on top this year. So, looking back at Week 11, a quick overview kind of the teams that were good all year. Top three in points for kind of showed up like they were supposed to, and kind of putting away a lot of the matchups early, barring some crazy comeback. Three of the matchups are kind of set already, whereas Connor and I are still close with 20 points, which is easy, but 50 plus points is kind of hard to come back from, but it still can be done. So we'll go ahead and start with mine and Connor's matchup. So mine and Connor's matchup was nothing too exciting. I was able to start the correct QBs in Kirk Cousins and Cam Newton. And Antonio Gibson has been playing great this year. I think he's going to be really good going forward, but 16 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown is huge. Duke Johnson, their running game is absolutely terrible. But yeah, he got me 5. Tyreek Hill had a ridiculous game, 11 for 14, 102 yards and a touchdown. Christian Kirk had a very average game. Funny thing about Christian Kirk is I went all in on him, and I had a huge bet on Christian Kirk to go over 50 and a half yards, and he went 4 for 6 for 50 fucking yards. So I will never forget that. But I had Hunter Henry at tight end, and he had a great game with a touchdown. Malcolm Brown had an absolute shit game. He had 0 points. And you can look over here at Denver. He's about to pick who he thinks is going to be the winner of that matchup, which is Jacob. So he thinks Jacob is going to hold on against Cam. And that's how the rest of that series is going to go with Denver. He's just going to be picking left or right, depending on which treat he's feeling at the moment. But funny thing about Malcolm Brown is I picked him up at 9:59 just for the hell of it. I sat Cooper Kupp because of it, and I dropped the New York Jets defense in favor of the Chargers defense. Chargers defense got 11 to the Dolphins 1, and Cooper Kupp got 23 to Malcolm Brown 0. So that cost me 33 points right there. So I could easily be up 50 on Connor. But yeah, that's how it went. I didn't leave too much on my bench besides Cooper Kupp. Looking over at Connor, it was a completely different story. Joe Burrow unfortunately went down with that terrible injury, and you hate to see that happen, especially to a guy like that when he's doing so well for them in a franchise that really needs it. But yeah, unfortunate. 10 points for him. Lamar Jackson kind of just has been way off this year. 15 points. He's not putting up anything near to the season he had in the past. His running backs doing pretty decent. Chase Edmonds and Josh Jacobs with 13 each. His receivers struggled a lot. Juju and T. Higgins getting him a combined 8 points, which is not what you want to see. A.J. Brown had that awesome touchdown catch last week, so that was huge. His kicker, Younghoe Koo, the MVP, kind of went off with 13 points. We can look over at Denver here for a second, and Denver is about to pick the winner between Bobby and Thomas. So this is kind of a big thing. What does he think? Does Bobby have a 60-point comeback in him, or is Thomas going to prevail? So we'll stay tuned to watch that. But another big story about Connor's team is he left a shit ton of points on his bench. He left Jared Goff and Taysom Hill, who each had 23. Both outscored both of his quarterbacks. Ooh, looks like Denver has Bobby prevailing. Bobby is going to take the win over Thomas. And then another player he had left on his bench was Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which was huge. So yeah, Connor is going to have a lot to come back from. It's doable at 20 points, or 23 points, but not where you want to be after the first round. Looking at Cam versus Jacob, Jacob just got an amazing game out of his two quarterbacks, like usual. Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes just went absolutely crazy. Kind of listening back to what Cam said, it's going to be the young guns versus the old guys, and the young guns proved to be the better duo as they outscored Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger by a lot. Another huge story for Cam's team is his stud in Alvin Kamara is just shit with Taysom Hill because Taysom Hill thinks he's the best player on the team. And so 13 carries for 45 yards. And the big thing is 0 for 1 receptions. That's not going to get it done, especially from a guy that was getting 9 for 9, 10 for 10 receptions. Dalvin Cook having a great game against Dallas, 27 carries for 115 yards. The guy is unreal. Kenyon Drake with a little bit of revenge game on Cam there with 14, 11 for 29, and a touchdown. Giovanni Bernard didn't do much. Cam was kind of going out there with playing Deontay Johnson and Claypool when Connor was starting Juju as well. But paid off for Cam as he got 33 or 34 from those two, which is huge. Michael Thomas kind of showed Jacob a little love after the big trade that he made for him. So maybe that's going to be something that carries through to the next matchup against T-Bay if it goes that way. But that's how it's looking like it's going to go. Darren Waller with a huge game. Anytime you can get close to 20 at the tight end position, that's ridiculous. Justin Jefferson had an amazing game. It was just that one 50-yard catch that kind of put him over the edge, but that's all it takes. Davante Adams having a Davante Adams type game. But as Cam said last week, it is just very, very unfortunate that he is in the situation he is in because he was just not starting the defense away from playing against Connor. So it's tough luck for him, and that's just how fantasy goes sometimes. And so, yeah. Looking on to the next matchup, we got, as we look back at Denver here, he's got Bobby. Again, he's got Bobby going through to it looks like he's going to go through to the championship at that point. But looking over at Nick Finley versus Andrew, Andrew just was not, 10 points between your two quarterbacks is not going to get it done in the playoffs. You got Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers with 40, so that's 30 points advantage right off the bat. Derrick Henry had a great game. As we look back over at Denver right now, it looks like he went to pick Bobby to win the championship, missed the treat. So it looks like Denver has predicted that Nick Finley will be our champion. Congratulations, Nick. You have Denver on your side. So looking back at the matchups, we have Derrick Henry went off that game-winning run in overtime. Put him over 100, and Derrick Henry is just awesome. So Andrew's running backs weren't the problem for him this week. It was the quarterback play, and his wide receivers weren't bad either. He got 0 points from Hayden Hurst, but DK Metcalf, Mike Evans, and Brandon Cooks all got him over 10. But Nick Finley's team all around just played great. Tyler Lockett, Nick Chubb, James Robinson, Calvin Ridley all had over 10. You had Travis Kelce with 26, which, is just a cheat code at that point. To get 26 from the tight end position is unreal. So, looking forward at Bobby versus T-Bay. This is almost a matchup that's kind of shut out. I mean, when you're up 50 plus points after week one, it's really tough to come back from. So Bobby's going to have an uphill climb. Bobby didn't play that bad. He just, looking back over at Denver really quick. Sorry, I keep jumping back and forth, but he has just predicted who our loser is going to be this year as he stares into the camera. Or wait, no, he's about to pick who our loser is going to be. So stay tuned. Who's going to be the king loser this year? Is it going to be Cam Ferg 10 or Andrew? Anyway, back to the matchups. Derek Carr and Andy Dalton both play great. I mean, it's obviously not the QBs you want going into the playoffs, as we see Denver has picked Andrew as our king loser this year. I'm sorry, Andrew, but Denver has spoken and it is over for you. But looking back at the matchup, Derek Carr and Andy Dalton are obviously, you don't want those two as your quarterbacks going into the playoffs, but Derek Carr showed up. He had that last second pick there too, so that took off a couple points. And then Andy Dalton had a good game. Kyler Murray had his worst game of the year. He was averaging 30. So honestly, to say Kyler Murray scored 20 is like he still had a better game than most quarterbacks, but that's 10 points off his average. Justin Herbert had a ridiculous game as he was literally just throwing it all over the Jets. I mean, like, that game was like crazy. They were just letting him sling it back and forth all over the place. And of course, he had the stack with Keenan Allen, 16 for 19, 145 yards and a touchdown. That's going to be a huge sack for Thomas if that works out, if he can kind of ride that through the rest of the year. But yeah, kind of. And Adam Thielen went freaking crazy for Thomas as well. So Thomas had like some of the best players in the week in general. But it's going to be interesting to see how week 2 goes. So I'll kind of do a preview of that now. All right, so now for the week 12 kind of recap, or no, preview. I'm doing this on Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving, everybody. But looking at Connor and I's matchup, I have great matchups across the board. Both of my quarterbacks have really good matchups. My running backs have awesome matchups. And I don't see myself giving up a 20-point lead. But we will see, especially because like Lamar Jackson's playing Pittsburgh. Taysom Hill could have another great game or he could have a shit game. You just really don't know what you're going to get from him, and it's a really uncertain play for Connor. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he could have a great game or he could do shit, just depending on how the offense kind of moves the ball. Josh Jacobs is always going to get his carries, but if they go down for whatever reason, then he's kind of a non-factor. And you saw that in the last game is he got like 10 points on the first drive of the game, and he finished with like 13 because they had to play catch up or at least hang with the Kansas City Chiefs. So he wasn't going to he essentially became a non-factor. He's playing Devontae Parker, and Jonathan Taylor. It's just like a lot of guys that just have not been consistent for him. It sucks Connor lost Joe Burrow because he had great matchups all the way down the line, but that's how things go. And I predict that I will take this matchup, which is huge for me because I really thought that once Christian McCaffrey went down that I had no chance. And for me to have a 23-point lead going into this week with really good matchups is awesome. So looking forward at Andrew versus Finley. Again, this was one of those matchups that Finley just blew him out of the water week 1. So it's kind of hard for Andrew to catch up. especially with Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill playing in the Colts. That's a bulk of his points, and that is not an easy defense to play against. You got Russell Wilson against Philly. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have the best matchup against Chicago. James Robinson against Cleveland won't be the best, but he just seems to be super consistent this year. James Robinson is our number 4 PPR running back, which is crazy because he was picked up off the waivers. He didn't even pay for him, he just picked him up. Tyler Lockett, Calvin Ridley, just all the way down the board. Nick Finley's team is better than Andrew's. I apologize, Andrew, but it looks like you're going to be fighting for not losing, and with Denver choosing you as our king loser for the third year in a row, I wish you the best of luck. So looking over at our next matchup, which is Cam versus Jacob. Jacob just put Cam down in the first round, and with Deshaun Watson scoring 36 on Thanksgiving Day today, it is just not looking good for Cam. He has to have a huge comeback, and with Ben playing Baltimore and not knowing what you're going to get from Alvin Kamara, it's going to be tough. So it's looking like Jacob's going to take that matchup. So looking over at Thomas versus Bobby, which is another matchup that was kind of blown up in the first round. But Bobby had a huge game from Will Fuller today. So it's not over, but it's going to be pretty damn hard. He has 18 on the bench right now at the start of the second half. So that's brutal for Amari Cooper and Bobby. But I don't know what we're going to get from Thomas's team this week. So it should be no problem for Thomas. So next week, it should be looking at like our second round, barring any craziness, will be me versus Finley and Jacob versus Thomas. And then that would leave Connor versus Andrew and Cam versus Bobby. That's just what it's looking like right now. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your week and a happy Thanksgiving, and I will see you next time. Bye.